Hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I have got another review for you and we are talking about Unplanned Read, Tress of the Emerald Sea. So this was not on my TBR, mostly because I kind of thought that the Skyward books would take all month for me to read, and I was thinking like, oh well, if I finish all the Skyward books real quick, then I will pick up something from Kindle Unlimited from my kind of self-pub TBR, which I haven't really talked about on the channel, but I do have like a list of books that I want to work through, starting with the one that I shelved earlier this year, which is Voice of War by Zach Argyle. However, I have really enjoyed reading the Sanderson books this month, but I finished Cytonic, and as you know, if you've watched the review, I didn't love Cytonic, but Tress of the Emerald Sea, I've had this physical copy since the day it came out in June. I'm not the kind of person who buys books really at all. I tend to get them from the library, or I might get a Kindle copy in some cases. And I actually own this book technically since January 1st because I paid up for the ebook Kickstarter. But at the start of this year, I had been reading physical books for quite a few months, and I have gotten to the point where I prefer reading physical books so much that I had just looked at the ebook and thought, I'll wait until I can get the physical. I'll just buy it again. It's nice to be able to support Brandon Sanderson as much as he does not need my money. So I thought, I'll wait, I'll buy the physical and I'll read it then. And then when the physical came out, I had pre-ordered it and it arrived, and I looked at it and I went, oh, not right now, I'm finishing some other stuff. And then 5 months went by and I finished Cytonic, and as I said, I didn't love Cytonic. I liked it, didn't love it. And I felt like I wanted something Sanderson. And I saw that people were complaining about the lack of Sanderson secret projects on the Goodreads top 10 for fantasy, but I think that Tress was the one that they had on there. So all of these things conspired to me going, let's just read Tress. I had this urge. I was like, let's read Tress. And I thought to myself, I'll read it slowly, and this will take me from. So I finished finished Evershore, I think like last Wednesday. So Thursday, I was like, I need to start a new book. And I was planning on starting Curse of the Mistwraith, but this was just screaming out to me. And I know that I didn't want to do a Sanderson month, but I did. And I read Tress of the Emerald Sea. And I started it on Thursday and finished it on Friday. It's a quick read, but it's also an extremely fun read. I'll tell you up top that I loved it, absolutely loved it. I think that it's the best Sanderson thing I've read in a while. I think that the different authorial voice that he's using is one that he's quite good at writing in, even though it's his first ever shot at it. And that authorial voice making it so different from all of his other stuff, just like everything put together, made me really, really love this book. This is a non-spoiler review, so I'm not going to talk about major plot elements or spoilers or shocks or reveals. I'm going to go in and talk a little bit about the concepts of the book and about the kind of basically the back of the book style story that they would tell you if you read the blurb. If you don't want to know that, come back after you've read it. So the book is about Tress, whose real name is Glorf, which is very funny. So Glorf lives on an island called the Rock, which is extremely inhospitable. It's the composition of the rock that she lives on is so high in salt that nothing grows there. However, it has some natural resources that make it essential for the ecosystem of the society within which it lives. And the uh, other side of that is that no one really wants to live there. So there's an edict by the king that anyone who lives there cannot leave, apart from if you're part of the nobility. Now, Tress is in love with this boy called Charlie, who he tells her that he's the Duke's groundskeeper, but she knows, and he knows she knows, that he's actually Charles, the Duke's son. Now, as part of the nobility, he's not really supposed to be fraternising with Tress, but they love each other. They try and keep it quiet. But the Duke kind of sees them getting closer and closer and is like, right, let's remove this situation. So he takes Charlie, and he tries to go marry him off to a princess or another, famous rich noble person. And Tress is heartbroken, but she's even more heartbroken when the Duke comes back and is like, oh yeah, turns out Charlie is dead, and I've adopted this other lad as my new son and heir. And she's like, well, what happened to Charlie? And she finds out that Charlie was basically traded to the sorceress, who is like the antagonist of the book, and the sorceress is like, also, she's kind of like the antagonist to the king. Now, Tress lives on the Emerald Sea, but the sea isn't made of water, it's made of spores, which are kind of like a sand-like substance, but they're biological. And if they touch moisture, so we're talking anything from water to blood to sweat, they explode with potential and magical energy. And the green sea, for example, will become vines. Then there's other seas that they go to. So the Red Sea will become crystals, like red crystals. The Blue Sea becomes like an explosion of force. And then the Black Sea is like, they turn into like ink blob monsters. So very, very interesting. Sanderson has created, with these spores, a very, very cool and different way of doing stuff. And I think that's really, really interesting. I really liked it. I like the world building here. Sanderson is like the king of world building, but this in particular, I feel like the world was built very, very well. The character of Tress is fantastic. One of my favourite things is, so the book is from Hoyd's point of view, and it's in the first person, because he is part of the story, and he, I won't say what's going on with Hoyd, but he's kind of out of sorts, but his future in sorts self is narrating the book. Now, at multiple points through the book, he references how Tress is not a normal heroic protagonist character, because she will do things like think things through and not make rash decisions and not jump to conclusions. And I think that's really funny. But it's also very true. Tress is extremely refreshing as a protagonist. So she doesn't, she's not an action hero. She's not a fighter. But she, she wants to protect the people she loves. And she grows to love the crew of the pirate ship that she joins, and not intentionally, in order to get off the rock and try and rescue Charlie. She loves Charlie. She loves her family. And it's just a really, really, I think it's a really good story. I think Tress is an excellent character. The narration from Hoyd, who, if you know the Cosmere, you know who Hoyd is. He's a fairly big fixture background character. So Hoyd, for example, is Wax's coach driver. He's Wit in the Stormlight archive. There's lots of lots of places where Hoyd appears. Now, I think that the style of the narration is incredibly funny, because it's kind of got this kind of whimsical fairy tale aspect to it, which is the inspiration for Tress is the Princess Bride. It's kind of like a gender reverse, where it's Princess Buttercup going to save the hero, um, and a lot of the characters have analogues from the Princess Bride. Um, there's just a really interesting cast and crew of characters, and we also see our first deaf person in the Cosmere with Fort, and I thought he was really well done. There's so many characters in that book specifically that I would love to see in other Cosmere stuff. Um, a friend of mine who is way more Cosmere aware and Cosmere learned than I am, has said that the book is very far in the future of a lot of the stuff that we've read. But that's fine. What that means to me, hopefully, is that we get to see these people again, in the kind of the end of the series, where the end may be getting more epic. We're looking at a Avengers Endgame moment for the Cosmere, and we're starting to see characters from, for example, Tress the Emerald Sea in there. I think that would be really cool to see. Give it like 10 years, we're on like Stormlight 9, and we're getting Tress just step through a portal on your left, Kaladin or whatever. I think that would be really fun. Yes, the only metaphors I can use are Marvel metaphors, get over it. So metaphors examples, maybe, I don't know. So I really loved Tress the Emerald Sea. I think that the thing that I loved the most was how different it felt from Sanderson books. There's no kind of, I'm trying to think about whether this is a spoiler. If you're extremely spoiler averse, then skip for a minute. I love that this book does not have a Sanderlanche. Every single Sanderson book has a Sanderlanche, has a big kind of, here's a climactic event, and then everything snowballs into the final confrontation. That doesn't happen here. There's no physical confrontation at all, really. I loved that about this book. I think that Sanderson really is, with these secret projects, he's kind of stretching his writing muscles, and he's trying to write different things. And in the case of Tress of the Emerald Sea and Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which, spoilers, I read straight afterwards, and I'm recording my review for that straight after this. In both of those books, there's a real evolution of what he's been writing beforehand, and I think that you can tell that he's become a better writer. And a lot of the Cosmere aware stuff in these books and the links to other Cosmere books are minimal and interesting. I say in these books, in the two that I have read. I actually am currently reading The Sunlit Man because I'm a madman, and even though Defiant is out tomorrow, I don't expect my copy from Amazon to arrive until late afternoon, early evening. So I'm just gonna try and finish the Sunlit Man before then. But anyway, Tress is a real step forward for Sanderson, I think. It didn't give me what I've described in other books as like the 5-star goosebumps, the tingle, the 5-star tingle. Didn't give me the goosebumps when I was finishing the book that I was like, wow, this is book of the year material. However, I loved it. It will almost certainly be in my top 10 for the year. I'll have to really think through what I've read this year, and I'd be surprised if maybe even both of the secret projects I've currently read don't make it into that top 10. It has been a great reading year for me, but Sanderson's stuff works for me very well. His stripped back prose style really works for me. I obviously like Robin Hobb and George R.R. Martin and the people who have this, Rothfuss, for example, for In Name of the Wind, who have this incredible grasp of prose. And I don't think that Sanderson has that. But I think that what he does have is a grasp of plot and character. And while, again, his characters are not as intricate and well realised as Hob, for example, who's kind of the queen of character work in fantasy, I think that Tress of the Emerald Sea is really a step towards that direction. I think his writing style is massively improved, and using this new framing of it being from Hoyd's narration and Hoyd commenting on the things that are happening, hilarious. I laughed out loud multiple times reading this book. I don't think that I know I've laughed a few times at Sanderson stuff before, but this one properly multiple times I was laughing. Maybe Sanderson just has the same sense of humour as me, and I'm just lucky on that front. Anyway, so Tress of the Emerald Sea. This has kind of been a ramble review because I basically binge read it in 2 days. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Stayed up until 1 a.m. reading it. Almost 1 a.m. the first night and over 1 a.m. the next night. So this is a real winner of a book. And I'd intended it to take me like 4 or 5 days, and it took me like not much over 24 hours. Anyway, Tress of the Emerald Sea is an incredible book that I would massively recommend. If you like Sanderson stuff, and especially if you like Sanderson stuff and you are looking for something a bit shorter, because this is only 360 pages in my UK hardcover edition. Although the cover is not, I would say, as good as a lot of Sanderson stuff, and is like not a touch on Yumi and the Nightmare Painter's cover. But only about 360 pages in my UK edition, so very short for a Sanderson book. I think the shortest Mistborn book's like 400 pages. But I loved it. It was short, it was quick, it was fun, it was funny, and the characters and the story were excellent. Like I said, it didn't give me that 5-star tingle, so I ended up giving this one a 4-star. But this probably would have been a 4.5 if Goodreads allowed half stars. And I think that this was consistently, throughout the entire book, enjoyable. There's no section where I'm like, I could put this down for a few hours now. I was loving it the whole way through. So if you are looking for something that is, as I said, fun, funny, fast-paced, you want to get Tress of the Emerald Sea. You could read this without reading a lot of other Cosmere stuff. But honestly, I think you should read the Cosmere in publication order. That's genuinely what I think is probably the best way to do it. I read all of Mistborn, then all of Stormlight, then in between Stormlight 2 and 3, I think I read Warbreaker. But I didn't read Elantris yet. Elantris I've saved for another time. But I kind of don't know when I'm going to read it. I think I'll try and get through it next year. Anyway, this review's gone longer than I'd intended to. I wanted to do a slightly shorter one for this one. But massive, massive recommendation. Have you read Tress of the Emerald Sea? What did you think about it? Pop a comment down below and tell me what you thought of Tress of the Emerald Sea. If you are thinking about reading it soon, then pop a comment down below, let me know. And if you come back to this review and it's months and months in the future, absolutely still please drop a comment. And I currently have time to reply to every single comment I get, because I don't get that many. So unless I have like 10,000 subscribers, which I definitely will not, I would love to chat with you in the comments about how great this book is. If you like this video, give it a like. If you didn't like it, give me some constructive criticism. Pop a comment down below and let me know how I can improve. Please share this video with your friends who've read Tress of the Emerald Sea. And subscribe to the channel to see more Brandon Sanderson content. Specifically, I think that this review is going to go up on Wednesday, the 22nd of November. The Yumi and the Nightmare Painter video will be out the following Monday. So if you are into Sanderson books, then I will speak to you on Monday. Hope you guys have enjoyed this review, and I'll speak to you soon.